Welcome to another episode of Marketing School. I'm Eric Su.
And I'm Neil Patel.
And today we're going to talk about, well, my content marketing isn't working. What should I do? And I think this is an issue we all go through. And I think I'll start with sharing an anecdote first, and I guess Neil can share one too. So when I first joined Singlegrain, initially we were only getting 4,000 visits a month to our blog. So content marketing, it was basically our traffic was actually tapering down. It was not working. Same thing with another company I joined in the past. Our traffic was basically flat. So at that point, we're like, okay, it's not working. A lot of people say it's not working. What do you do at the point? So for us, what we did was we audited what we were doing, and the type of content we were producing at the time were low value. We're talking 300 to 500 word articles. We weren't putting a lot of thought into it. And, you know, the algorithms were not really rewarding us because we weren't producing content that actually makes sense, right? Or deserves to rank in the first place. And I remember a guy recently, he said this, I think he said this at a conference. He made a really good point. He's like, the content that you create is not really going to drive you leads for the most part, right? It's not going to drive you leads, but it's going to collect the links where you build enough authority on your website where when you build landing pages, it's going to rank and that's going to drive you the conversion. So keep that in mind. That's what content marketing is for. And I thought that was a really good example. And you just have to make small adjustments, and I'll go a little deeper into it, but I want to hear Neil's kind of anecdote too when it was failing.
Yeah, there's two reasons it fails. You're going to be in two camps. The first camp is I'm blogging and I can't get more traffic. The second camp is I have traffic and my traffic keeps going up, but my sales are flat, if not even declining. So for the first camp, if you can't figure out the traffic part, it's really simple. Use a lot of the tools out there, Ahrefs, SEMRush, Ubersuggest, whatever you want. You figure out what keywords have traffic and have a high CPC. Typically, if a keyword has a high CPC, it means that the traffic is worth quite a bit more than a keyword that has a low CPC. So what you want to do is take those keywords, put them into BuzzSumo, see what's popular, and then from there, it'll give you ideas on what to write on. And even though you write it, doesn't guarantee that it'll be popular. You're still going to have to do things like look at who shared that article on Twitter, hit them up, ask them to share your content, or put that URL into Ahrefs, the competitor one, see who linked to it, email them, beg them to link to yours because it's better, more detailed, more thorough. And over time, I know that sounds simple, but if you do that and you do it for a year, your traffic will go up. Maybe not to the levels you want, but it'll still go up. And if you're in the second camp of the traffic just not converting into revenue, you got to use tools, whether it's, or not even tools, you got to more so be a bit more aggressive than you probably like with exit pop-ups, sliders, opt-ins, email collection, using drips. I use a top bar on all of my blog pages, driving people to my homepage or a squeeze page so I can collect more leads. But you got to drive the traffic and funnel it to the pages that drive you revenue. If you do those two things, you'll slowly start seeing more revenue from your content marketing. You'll get more traffic and more sales.
Yeah, and speaking of tools, so looking at Neil's Ubersuggest, or you can use the Ahrefs keyword difficulty tool too. Either or are fine. Ubersuggest is free. Neil's not paying me to say this, but so if you let's just use Ahrefs as an example. They have a keyword difficulty tool in there that shows how difficult it is to rank for a keyword, and it's not by any means accurate or anything, but it does give you an idea of, oh, you need 20 links to get on the top 10 in the top 10 rankings, and it shows you the search result pages for that specific keyword. And then they also give you some suggested keyword ideas too. And what I like about that tool is it shows you the seasonality too. So let's say the keyword Christmas, for example, it's only going to show December, there's like a spike, right? November, December, there's a spike, and then it kind of just dies off. So it shows you where things are going. It also shows you the distribution between paid clicks and organic clicks. And that gives you an idea of like the sense of where that is. And that actually ties in with what Neil's saying around checking in on the CPC. And then also if you match it up with the keyword difficulty, you're going to create pieces of content that, hey, it might not necessarily take off for the first couple months, but as long as you continue down that path, you're going to get a couple hits, you're going to see spikes, and traffic is going to start to compound because you're creating content that's generating links. You just need a couple of those, and then your site's going to start to move up because the entire ship moves up when you're able to increase your domain authority.
Yeah, and one last thing for me is, if you're in the camp, I know I talked about earlier that a lot of you probably aren't generating revenue from content marketing, try quizzes, because quizzes, you can ask people specific questions and then send them to specific products or services or lead capturing. And then now that you've segmented out that user, you can better sell them.
Yeah. Did we talk about the spinning wheel podcast or the podcast, the pop-ups on this podcast yet?
No, we haven't talked about the spinning wheels. You're talking about the exit ones where you spin and whatever it selects on, that's
We're
what you
gonna
get for
talk
free.
about that later. Yeah. All right. So with that being said, this is the end of this episode. Markingschool.io. Go there, markingschool.io/stats. We are gonna throw a live event once we hit live event. That's one live event, not plural. So one live event for free for celebrating when we get to 1 million downloads over a 30-day period. Go there, share, rate, review, subscribe to this podcast. Help us spread the love. Once we get there, the stats page will show you. Once we get there, it is going to happen, and we hope to see you there. So see you tomorrow.